Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Full Court Press. I am your host, Drew Duncan. Do not forget that Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram is all at Drew Duncan 83. Additionally, you can find me on YouTube. Simply look for Drew Duncan. And, of course, the Full Court Press is on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. And don't forget, you can listen to us wherever you listen to podcasts. Simply tell your device to play the Full Court Press by Drew Duncan. Spreaker, Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, etc. We're available everywhere. Last night, Notre Dame, Louisville. It was a better game for the most part than I think a lot of people anticipated, right? Look, Louisville makes the decision to go out and get some new, young blood in Scott Satterfield. And I think that already we saw a much improved Louisville Cardinal football team. Now, obviously, the end score is not going to indicate how that game went. But if anybody watched it, then you'll know that in the first quarter, you're watching this game and you're probably thinking to yourself, Notre Dame is overrated, right? Without really realizing that a season ago, yes, Louisville played horrendous football. Ever since they've made the transition to go back to the ACC, they've got a huge taste of reality to a lot of people for moving out of the All-American Conference into the ACC. I don't think that's necessarily the case. They've competed very well before in the Big East when it still was, quote, the Big East. The fact of the matter is this. They looked very much improved, and they took everything that Notre Dame was giving and giving it right back. Period. Ultimately, because the first quarter was high scoring, right? 14-14 at the end of one. Ultimately, what did them in was, 3 consecutive times they had the football, they fumbled. That was ultimately what did them in. And even then, defensively, they were holding Notre Dame, right? Because even they forced a Notre Dame turnover. I mean, literally, we were looking at back-to-back turnovers. It was really sloppy football there for a while. But the fact of the matter is this. Until that happened with their offense, defensively in that second quarter, they were hanging in there. And even then, you got to think, they turned the football over on basically 3 consecutive possessions, and Notre Dame only gets a touchdown out of it at the end of the half. That's damn good defensive football. I don't know that the expectations are going to be really high for Notre Dame this year. I do know I love their running back, Junior. He is phenomenal. Excellent running back there in Tony Jr. But when you watch this football game, I think for me, the biggest thing was the improvement of Notre Dame and just kind of maybe we're in that same old thing again with Notre Dame this season, right? They're starting off as a top 10 football team. A lot of people are looking at this team and going, the schedule's there. But already they're having a hard time with Louisville and they got to play Michigan, and they've got to play Alabama. And, it's just it doesn't look good for Notre Dame. Or pardon me, not Alabama, but Georgia. And, then after that, basically they don't have Stanford until the end of the season, and we don't know what's going to happen with them and their quarterback situation because obviously he got hurt at the beginning and during the Northwestern game in week 1. So, concussion protocol and all that stuff. We're still kind of waiting on some of the details of that. Honestly, I don't know. I know that Paul Feinbaum made his snide little remark about, they shouldn't be in there after what they did with Clemson. Well, is he going to say that about OU? By the way, just out of curiosity, anybody watch that travesty of a football game last year? In the playoff against Alabama. I mean, come on. And I get what he's saying. Ultimately, it's all about Notre Dame not being in a conference. Yeah, sure, their basketball program is in the ACC, and they play 5 ACC teams a year. But, come on, that's what, Virginia. They've got Duke this season. By last check, they're not going to play Clemson. They're not going to play Syracuse. They're not going to play Florida State. So, or Maryland, who's played upset to Texas over the last couple of seasons, right? Who Syracuse is going to be playing. A lot of people keep talking about Syracuse and Clemson. If I'm Syracuse, I am definitely focused on Notre Dame coming up. So I look at the schedule and I go, is it manageable or whatever people want to call it? Sure, but anybody could beat anybody at any time. And I think for me, the biggest thing about Notre Dame is with Ian Book, I don't know that the passing game is there. Look, there are a lot of football teams that I have watched through week one where I have said it is obvious that the running game is there, but will they get enough out of their quarterback in order to be able to win football games through the air? And Ian Book was no exception to that. A lot of teams I saw I thought were very good running the football. Notre Dame was one of them. I mean, I looked at Notre Dame, I looked at Wisconsin, I looked at Michigan State, I looked at Utah. There are some teams out there that can flat out run the football. Clemson. And I know it was one game out for Trevor Lawrence. People going, oh, come on, dude. It was one game, but they've got Texas A&M next weekend. Do you really think that if they played A&M this Saturday with their passing game, the way that they played a Saturday ago, this opening weekend, they would win that football game? Okay, so I'm just saying, Auburn, Oregon, I mean, those were all teams that I thought, man, their running game is phenomenal. I mean, seriously, this run offense for Notre Dame could easily be one of the best in the nation. But in order to win football games, as much of a guy that I am and believing in the old school, and I hate when people say that the running back position is non-existent and it's fading out. Okay, look how people are freaking out about Ezekiel Elliott. Don't give me that nonsense, because that's exactly what it is. All right? As much as I love that running game for Notre Dame, at some point, you are going to have to be able to score and score fast with some sort of deep hit play, because there are other teams out there that have that capability. And defensively, you are going to find somebody who is going to be able to outmatch you. Louisville beat themselves. That's all there is to that. Notre Dame barely capitalized. So we'll see. Guys, I am Drew Duncan, host of the Full Court Press. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram is all at Drew Duncan 83. Additionally, you can find me on YouTube. Simply look for Drew Duncan. The Full Court Press is on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. And don't forget, you can listen wherever you listen to podcasts. Simply tell your device to play the Full Court Press by Drew Duncan. And as always, don't you dare touch that dial.